look at this really nice lighting setup I have here. Funny thing, I just discovered that there is that lamp thingy out there, and it turns out that it's been there for a few billion years, and I haven't used it once. Why didn't any of you tell me that? I feel a really great sense of dishonesty from your part because of the fact that you withheld this information from me, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to trust you anymore. Moving on, welcome back. This is going to be another Draw This in Your Style video, when I participate in a challenge to recreate someone's character according to my best skill set. But first, today's, hope I pronounced this right, challenge. This character is created by Kotikomori from Instagram. Unfortunately, I don't see any sort of name or description of this character, so I decided to just call it the Arctic Elf, which is a little bit funnier now that I'm thinking about it, that there are actually Arctic Elf in like folklore, and I didn't even think about that. Moving on, I have one important thing to talk about here. This project, like many other things that I do, started as just a little scribble. Let's just create this little character really quickly before I jump into something more important. So I'm just going to make this character in like 2 sessions maximum. I ended up spending 10 hours on it across multiple sessions, but it was worth it, and in this video I'm going to show you why exactly I'm saying that. First of all, the whole story behind how I even ended up making this portrait. I've been a casual enjoyer of the artworks of June Jenssen for a few years. By casual enjoyer, I mean I'm totally ripping her off. Sorry for that, June. You're an awesome creator, please forgive me. I don't even know how many hours I spent just looking at some of her portraits and trying to figure out how exactly the facial features and just the whole characters on her works were created. I'm going to be talking about an issue I have later in this video after I mostly finish the picture. In short, I'm a little bit afraid that I'm becoming way too much of a watered down version of June Jenssen, but I will talk about that later in its place. I really rarely do like direct studies, and sometimes I just sit down with a project on my own and I decide that okay, I'm going to implement things from someone else's works in order to learn from them while I'm actually completing a project on my own. And this Draw This in Your Style challenge ended up like one of those, or I should even say draw this in June Jenssen's style instead. I'm just rambling way too much about this. There's a topic that I briefly mentioned in some of my videos, but there is a certain thing that I've been struggling a lot. When I say a lot, I mean I've been struggling with this in my entire artistic career. And this thing is painting nice looking hair. See, I have many little issues with my skills, and one of them is that I kind of lack a few fundamentals that I'm still trying to learn now, years later, years after I started painting. One of these fundamentals that is lacking for me is actually creating structure and creating accurate sketches for the things that I want to make. And if you look at many of my works, you are going to see issues emerging from this. Namely, you are going to see many parts of my images that were not developed properly. Many parts where I just started scribbling, started throwing color spots on top of each other until it started looking nice, and then I modified it more and more and it started looking ugly, and I tried to just somehow fix it. It's just a giant mess, and it is really something that is not efficient and something that is just hurting the overall quality of my works. And actually this picture ended up going really off rail because of that, and mainly because of my lack of skill, or I shouldn't even say lack of skill, my memorized bad habits when it comes to painting hair. And essentially this picture became a really important learning piece for me, something that I wasn't expecting, because at one point I had to admit that this hair is not going to work. This hair is going to be just as ugly as all of the other hairs I do. So I made the conscious decision to stop where I was and look at her works properly and figure out how I really should change my whole process behind painting her, and I've been looking at her works for so long, and it just hurts me that I'm not capable of creating something just as awesome. And spoiler alert, I'm still not there because I have to still study many of her works. But for now, right now as I'm speaking, the picture is finished, but I recorded a segment during the process where I talked about all of this, and you are going to see that right now. Do not show signs of insanity much. Is the camera already running? No, it's okay, just don't forget to cut out this part when I'm rambling about my Welcome back. First of all, before I say anything else, I'm going to drink this lemonade. I'm going to pretend that it's something strong, so I might feel better from the placebo effect. I'm already feeling better. What I wanted to say is that things are getting ridiculous, and I decided to at least record it so we can laugh at it together. I'm not going insane, I'm not going insane, I'm not going insane, I'm not going insane. I've been working on this picture for the last few days. I created my version of this character, and at the same time you can see another few portraits here. These are pictures by June Jenssen, and she's like maybe one of the most influential person to my art. She's an amazing digital portrait painter, and I've been doing a lot of studies of her. Many of them are not public or anything, but I feel that my portrait skills really improved since I started like consciously looking a lot at her stuff and trying to figure out how she exactly makes all these amazing artworks. And here's like my another attempt from September. There's a few months between these two pictures. This was also Do This in Your Style by MissDVR.art. I definitely count this as a failed attempt. Like there are many issues with this picture, especially with the facial features. Like I was trying to keep this giant nose and such things, but you know, it's just all over the place and distorted, and maybe this one is also that distorted. I just maybe don't really see right now because I've been staring it for too long. Also, funny thing, this picture, this was uploaded like a day ago or something. And look at the two, like it's so similar to each other. Like even this color with the same colors is there. That was a really strange coincidence. I started this at the 3rd or something, or maybe the 2nd of January, I don't remember. But you know, the real difference is that she's an art demigod and I'm a peasant without a pitchfork. So that's all about that. I've been literally struggling for years to create any sort of acceptable hair on my characters. And at this point I'm like convinced that there are some bad habits so deeply seated in my brain, I'm like subconsciously refusing to do hair any other way, and I'm just running in the same circles over and over again. And my character's hairs look like this absolutely brutally greasy stuff, and I just want to somehow get past this stage. I've been neglecting this part for years. I've been just always scrapping my pictures. I was always saying that okay, next one is going to be better, but I never went back to really fix anything. So what I want to do now, after I turn on some extra brightness to my face, okay, you've been staring at a black outline for this long, is I want to completely nuke the details of this hair. First of all, I will do this. Don't you feel that this version actually looks better than this one? This is just so much of a mess. It is ugly, it is really horrible. Yes, I did turn on my microphone. I would have been really upset if I didn't. Okay, I'm switching into a time-lapse plus commentary version now because I just broke one of my rules. Recently, I wrote a whole list of what I shouldn't do when recording, and one of them is trying to paint and speak at the same time. Why is that? I will simply end up with a super long junk footage where I barely make any progress, but I speak for so long it's exceptionally painful and it's just impossible to cut it down into anything reasonable. So what did I achieve here? After wiping away all the details from the hair, I started really thinking about how I make the overall structure, instead of just putting down color spots and trying to figure out how to connect them. The most important part was following giant shapes of hair while paying attention to not keep them all separate messes. Because it looks like dreadlocks at best and like a bunch of tentacles at worst. And don't get me wrong, I like the Cthulhu mythos, but it's not the right place to implement elements of it. So my rules for myself for painting hair: follow big shapes that are clearly visible and show actual three-dimensional form first. Don't keep them too separate because they do connect at many points, otherwise they just look like tentacles. Try to avoid repetition, like similar bundles of hair next to each other. Don't overdo it. Many times the less detail you add, the better. Just because you spend 10 times as much on a hair that doesn't work, it won't make it 10 times less bad. It's a clear example of less is more. Obviously, painting hyperrealism is a different thing, but for my purpose, it doesn't have a place. Okay, I almost broke my phone. I dropped it when I was setting it up, but miraculously it's intact and it's working, so you won't have to look at my avatar instead of my face for the rest of the video. This is the final version of the picture. Obviously, it is far from perfect. I can still see this almost clay-like quality, or how should I say that, when you can't really make it out as organic hair. Also, I don't think I mentioned previously, but I made an animated version of this portrait. I'm not in the way, right? No, I'm not in the way. Oops! It is just a really simple loop, and I'm going to show you why. First of all, the breadth. It is literally 2 layers just made with a simple airbrush, and I just start fading this in, and I start fading that one in, and this disappears and the other one disappears, and you only have to tweak it a little bit so it looks organic. For example, it has to disappear slower than how it appeared, so it's going to give off the illusion of actual breath. The other thing is the blink. You're looking sleepy. I painted over with a halfway closed eye and with a fully closed eye, and I simply just flash them after each other in the video, and it looks like the character is blinking. For the stars in the background, it is just 2 layers of stars, and it's just fading from one to the next. And that is going to be it. I'm not really feeling this video. This was just a really big mess. I thought I will try to make a video without a script, because I don't know, I like it when my video quality is just suddenly drops into the ground or something. Still, I hope that I managed to give my message off and just tell the whole story of how I ended up with this character and this specific hair that this character has now. It's not perfect. It has some really ugly places, but I just feel that there is this little step towards the right direction. So what did we learn today? I definitely learned that I should stick to scripts, because just having a few notes there on my second monitor is not going to be enough, because I'm just rambling half the time, and then I will just wonder why I'm unable to speak properly while editing, and wonder how I'm going to just somehow combine together a watchable video from the footage I recorded. Oh, and also, draw this in your style challenges are fun. That's it, that's the message. Definitely go and check out the works of Kotikomori. And for those of you who haven't gone to check out her stuff, thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day, do some art, even if it's a do it in your style challenge, while you're actually doing do this in June Jenssen's style challenge, because you don't really have a style on your own and your whole identity is built on ripping off someone else. That's a pretty dark thought, but you should do it, especially if that's the case. But most importantly, have fun while doing that. Farewell. Level up my work towards her direction. That sounded extremely good. It's a really awesome English sentence.